Well, good day, everybody, ladies and gentlemen of the interweb, zombie force. Had a couple of subjects I wanted to kind of just lay out there, and maybe it'll make some sense to some people, maybe it won't. Who is this masked man of corruption being charged in the federal criminal indictments of being a bad mayor? That'd be him right there, everybody. Here's what you got. You got the mayor of New York City. You know, he has the metropolis, the Big Apple. He has the sanctuary city, the largest of them. 50,000 presumed illegal people of not U.S. nationality. And millions of dollars are being spent at the levels of illegal aliens inside the United States. A word from our sponsors by people who operate trucks just like these. But that mayor, see, he was being brought up on charges, you see. The charges, everything he was charged with in a court, more than likely would be proven guilty as charged. See, you got to keep it short and simple. Like I say, KISS, K-I-S-S. Keep it simple, stupid. The fact of the matter is, so we got this mayor cat, the defendant at play, that the Trump administration just gets involved with. Just on the lines of thinking, this guy right here says, I'm the president of the United States and I'm fixing to give him a presidential pardon, so he owes me, right? And says we don't want to further any prosecution in this matter. Dalho federal court judge says, I really don't want to dismiss this, but I'm going to go ahead and listen to this probably agreement that's been made between the Trump administration and the guilty. For the reasons, who would know? Could it have anything to do with any of the members or actions in these images? Who would know? The fact of the matter is the judge and the prosecutors that were involved, they're just chomping at the bit. They really just wanted to lock this motherfucker up. If you know what I mean there. Until Donald Trump shows the administration weighs in on that. So ultimately, and if you understand this, the courts ruled to be dismissed with prejudice. Okay. To be dismissed with prejudice, if I can elaborate, means to reserve all future investigations into certain matters, and if not prosecutions in certain matters that could pertain to this case.
Well, which way did it go, George? Which way did it go?
It means they put it up on a shelf. You're free to go. It's been dismissed with prejudice. But if you screw up now. Know what I mean? Follow me? Know what I mean? Figuring it out now? You're coming back to court on this. If you break the agreement.
Don't you ever fuck me, Tony. Don't ever fuck me.
You see. Sort of what I thought played out. The agreement of what did the mayor of New York City agree to with the Trump administration, and pertaining to what and how it could possibly exonerate him from court proceedings, if you understand what I'm saying. What was the payoffs and the rip-offs involved in all of that?
Well, you never know. I'm just speculating on all of these millions of dollars and who got them and where it went and who paid each other.
Let you know real soon, but to have a case dismissed without prejudice is for it to go away from now on. They can't bring up the charges in the future.
Free at last, free at last.
But with prejudice, however, reserves the court system, which really just wanted to nail his ass to the wall, and the only thing that it saved him was somehow some collaboration took place. Let's just say that.
It's like, Mr. Mayor, you're coming to work for us now. Me and this guy. And as the sign already says, if you can read.
Now let's just move on to the next subject.
Vis var det där Justin Trudeau.
We're on the northeast of the United States now. The weather seems to be turning towards more spring-like conditions. So let's talk about Canada. And the fact of the facts. The facts of the facts. Only the facts, ma'am. Only the facts. You know, like Columbo. One more thing. One of the facts about Canada is it's up to 60%. 60% of their GDP.
Oh, Canada.
Is results of an American trade. Now, I'm not trying to insult the people of Canada, but it boils down to is demand. I think that the leading officials inside the country of Canada have oversold themselves in boldness and not practiced enough in being the humble public servant.
I'm talking about this guy right here. Ain't he fabulous?
You know, they don't serve their people in Canada. The Canadians are presumed to serve these people.
Ye Canadian Parliament of Ottawa.
60% of the GDP of Canada comes off of the people of the United States, and it only contributes to about 1.3% of the GDP of the United States, which we could say we can swing that 1.5 percentage to anybody. We can give it to Mexico, we can let them do it, we can contract with, who knows, China, Russia, other peoples will be happy to take the contracts revolving around the automotive industries and such. And that's includes, another thing is their oil. They have what they call heavy oil, heavy crude oil. Nobody else in the world has heavy crude oil except for in the United States and Canada, because we've got lots of water between us, and we have heavily invested, like I said in a video, in the refining of heavy crude oils. Anybody outside this country that has any significant industry, they do not have significant industry in the refining heavy crude oil. So just remember that.
The leaders of this dilemma?
That means it's good here, but it's not very good anywhere else because we're the ones that make adequate fuel out of it. Plus, we've got plenty. So, just to answer that question, somebody asked me about that question, and that is the truth. Canada has found itself in an utter financial grip, and then you've got all of the people in Canada feeling, who has misled them. And they're thinking, who has done this? Is it the Americans? Or is it the present Canadian administration? You can judge for yourself on that.
Did I do that?
But speaking quite frankly, the province of Alberta and most of Saskatchewan are going to tend to lean towards the breaking away from the Canadian idea and becoming a state in a new state inside the United States. And I know some people's going to say, oh, that's bullshit. These Canadians are not going to go for that. They're not going to go for that. And like I said, I've got lots of family in Saskatchewan and around Alberta and Ottawa. Don't tell me something that I don't already know. But I am going to tell you why I choose to live and be an American. I'm not Canadian. I'm an American. So let's get that off the table. The crushing blows that are coming to the Canadian people is the result of political leaders who are weak leading their people off the edge of a cliff. That's my summary in that. It is going to put the people of Canada in soup lines. So, enough said of that Canadian subject, and we'll move on to the next story, which is going to be the southern border.
The Great Wall of America.
Okay. And I know I got a bunch of G.I. Joe, Rambo, Special Forces. They're all going to jump in there and just destroy the enemy.
That may not be possibly further from the truth.
Okay. Here's some facts about your enemy. Know thy adversary. The truth of the facts of is, if you didn't know it, most of all of the massive amounts and bulk of the chemicals required to make your everyday fentanyl, well, of course, they flow in from China into Mexico. That's where they get these things from. It doesn't cross American boundaries in cargo ships, and if it does, in very little amounts. You see, not to support 320 million people in an economy. See, that you're thinking they get enough fentanyl in a suitcase at the airport. No, that's 15 seconds worth right there in that suitcase you're looking at. That's a snack for the drug cartels inside the country. The fact of the matter is in thinking, so you have to be involved in what goes down, what happens. You come up with the all of the propagandas that you listen to out here inside this country, and these lackluster motherfuckers that can't seem to think. Whenever you shut the supply chain off to the United States, it doesn't matter. China's just going to keep pumping in product manufacturing supplies into Mexico, and they'll continually have a supply train coming out of China. It just makes it 1,000 times more difficult to get anything of any consequence inside the American border. It has to be smuggled. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, people don't really know this, that a lot of people do, a lot of people don't. I can't say I could be that judgmental. My apologies. But most of the gangsters down in Southern California and Mexico and those areas, they're known to be of mixed nature into the Chinese gangsters.
Note, these guys are Asian.
See, they share the same streets, and usually the Chinese, and already, if you didn't know, the Chinese have infiltrated deeply inside the cannabis industry, inside especially the western parts of the United States, not excluding any area, you see. The Chinese are the ones that direct the drug traffickers and the human traffickers of Mexico. See, that's not up to anybody but the Chinese syndicates, the organized Mexican mobsters, per se.
Note, the chart in front of you indicates the most illegal immigrants that come to America.
Whenever the females of certain ages, certain looks, are to want to be able to come to America, then they're smuggled. But their smuggling fee could be anywhere from $3,000 to $18,000 per person.
One must truly question on who gets paid for assisting illegal aliens.
A lot of the female women that has been smuggled, they go into the industry, which means that they're delivered up to a cannabis growth somewhere off the radar, and they, believe it or not, their job is to cater to the men.
Guys like these right here, that's who they work for.
They are sexually used.
I keep saying, I'm just saying.
They are used to do the laundry, they're used to do the cooking and cleaning, and essentially lay on their backs or bend over. That's where the Chinese gangsters come into some of this, you know. So, whenever the supply of fentanyl is stopped.
Something that might pertain to this photo.
At our borders in mass results.
These physical barriers kind of get in the way now.
The Mexican cartels are going to continue to build the product, to make the product, to attempt certain means of transporting and delivering that product across American boundaries. It's like a game, cat and mouse. But whenever that game slows down, you have to understand it's not going to stop. There's always going to be a junkie somewhere, and there's always going to be somebody exploiting that. The fact of the matter is whenever there is not enough money on the table to go around with all the cartels and the families, when there's not enough meat on the bone, then you'll see the wolves come out in them, and they will turn on each other. It will happen. And the United Military Advisors, you know, they're only in there to say, hey, this is probable that you're going to have gunfights between local gangs and cartels inside your country. Why? Because we're over here behind this big fancy wall, and they're not getting in no more. You see, that's That's how it involves the United States military. I hate to pop your bubbles, you know. I know everybody's just hoping for this all-out invasion into Mexico, but see, that's not what they call good diplomacy. You mind your business and let the neighbors mind their business and stay out of each other's business, and you'll make for a happy fucking neighbor. Good fences make good neighbors, like they say. If all of the Mexican people want to go over there and start shooting shit up, then there's nothing inside this country that's going to stop them. Other than the fact that we just cut off their human flow of people coming into this country. You have to understand, when 20 million people show up inside a country, and let's say 10% of those people send money home to their families, which is, I would give it a probability of 80%, if not 90% of those people. So you're talking about, on a weekly basis and a monthly basis, of millions of dollars of U.S. taxpayers' money being paid to these illegal aliens inside the country on a job to go down there to the money wire transfer system and transfer it where? Over to Mexico or wherever it goes, and it just bleeds cash off of the economy. So when you shut all of that off, then expect for the cartels in Mexico to war with each other. You know, attempt to overthrow the government, to get in there and kiss enough ass to lift the trade embargoes and stuff against Mexico and relieve some of the tariffs and put the car plants back to work and sell us vegetables that taste like rubber, you see, the Mexican brands. The fact of the matter is America is strong. It's very strong and stable. We're not going anywhere. And it's like I said, that seems to be my recollection on the current events inside the USSA. And until I make a further update on some shit that I may not know what I'm talking about, Zombie Force out.